We often talk about AI in terms of, the algorithms, the models themselves. But maybe the real story, the one that's kind of mind-blowing right now, is the physical scale,
Yeah.
the infrastructure.
Oh, absolutely. It's staggering. And there's this one stat about OpenAI that just puts everything into perspective. They're apparently aiming to build something they call an infrastructure factory.
An infrastructure factory.
Yeah, designed to produce 1 gigawatt of AI compute every
Ugh.
single week.
1 gigawatt
Wow.
weekly. That's,
Yeah.
it's hard to even picture that kind of pace.
It really is. It means they're operating on a completely different level.
Yeah.
If you try to contextualize that, you're basically looking at combining like all the big NVIDIA deployments plus the Tesla Gigafactory plus major AWS data centers all running at once.
And they plan to just keep doing that.
Yeah.
Week after week.
That seems to be the plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to handle the training and deployment needs for whatever comes next. It forces a total rethink of, compute economics.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to dive into the latest industry sources, try to cut through some of the noise, and pull out the key things you probably need to know.
We'll be looking at some big corporate shifts, some very real practical threats that are emerging, and also this rising global competition, especially around the cost of performance.
Right. So roadmap-wise, first up, we'll unpack the new structure at OpenAI, what that means for their speed.
Then we'll get into some immediate disruptions, things like fake AI receipts, workforce impacts, new tools.
And finally, we absolutely have to talk about these super competitive Chinese models. They're beating Western models pretty badly on cost.
Let's jump in. Segment 1, OpenAI's new reality.
Okay, so focusing first on let's say, the strategic and financial side. The big news is OpenAI has finally finished this really complex legal reshuffle. They are now officially a for-profit company.
That's right. The pivot is complete. But that ownership is still intentionally messy. It's not like a standard corporate setup, which keeps people guessing.
Yeah, we learned the original nonprofit foundation. It still owns 26% of the new thing, the OpenAI Group.
Right. And meanwhile, Microsoft, they are dug in deep. They've got about 27% of this new group. That stake is valued at, around $135 billion now?
Wow.
But the real power might be the exclusive model rights they hold. That runs until 2032.
2032, that's
yeah,
a long time. That gives Microsoft huge control over where this tech goes commercially, doesn't it?
For the next decade, pretty much, yeah.
And speaking of valuation frenzy, here's a kind of interesting side note. Elon Musk apparently tried to buy them not long ago for $97 billion.
$97 billion. And obviously that didn't happen. Maybe it wasn't even enough. Who knows? But the why behind this whole for-profit shift is key.
Right.
They basically have to remove all the legal friction. The old structure made it hard to raise the truly astronomical amounts of money they need for that physical infrastructure we talked about.
So open the floodgates for investment. Scale up faster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to that infrastructure goal. The infrastructure factory. 1 gigawatt per week.
Whoa. Just imagine trying to scale to handle, say, 1 billion queries consistently. That kind of investment, that output.
It removes all the hardware bottlenecks they've ever had, right? It unlocks speed in a way we haven't seen, and you see that urgency reflected internally, too.
How so?
Well, their chief scientist, Jakub Pachocki, recently suggested superintelligence might be less than 10 years away.
Less than 10 years.
Yeah, and that doesn't sound like a casual prediction. It sounds like it's based on the speed they're seeing right now internally.
So the implication there is we could see big jumps in model performance, maybe even in the next 6 months, before we even get to GPT-6.
That seems to be the hint, yes. The training runs are moving faster than maybe even they predicted.
Okay, so here's a question then. With all this money pouring in, this infrastructure, this speed, does that guarantee OpenAI market dominance long term?
Well, the capital flow is huge, definitely. But those proprietary rights, the control aspects, they really complicate the market picture.
Right. So the money's there, but control rights make it complicated.
Exactly. Okay, let's shift gears. From the big money story to more immediate practical things hitting people, segment 2.
And first up is something that's honestly a bit scary. The realism of these models is creating a crisis in digital trust. We need to talk about fake AI receipts.
Yeah, this is becoming a $1 million problem, literally. We're not talking about clumsy Photoshop anymore. These are like professional-level fakes, good enough to fool corporate expense systems.
So the takeaway is, you just can't trust your eyes anymore. Not with digital documents.
Pretty much. Visual evidence alone isn't enough. Assume verification is needed.
Digital trust is eroding fast. Okay. At the same time, though, powerful creative tools are getting easier to access, right?
Yeah.
Adobe just put AI assistants into Express and Photoshop.
That's huge, yeah. Tools that used to need serious design skills, now usable with simple text prompts. It makes creativity more accessible, sure.
But it also probably fuels that forgery problem we just mentioned.
Exactly, double-edged sword. And look at commerce integration. OpenAI and PayPal are partnering up.
For instant checkout within ChatGPT.
Right. So you could be chatting, the AI suggests something, and boom, you buy it right there. Conversation to checkout. Seamless. And speaking of access, look at India. They're getting 12 months of free ChatGPT Go access for a limited time. That's a big strategic play for market share.
Mm-hmm. And this tech leap is causing weird contrasts in the corporate world, too.
Yeah.
Like Amazon laying off thousands.
Right, thousands of people gone. But it's not because Amazon's struggling financially.
No, they're doing it while massively increasing their spending on AI development. It's a really stark restructuring of the workforce happening right now.
It really shows the trade-off companies are making, swapping human capital for compute capital. And sometimes, you know, that compute capital doesn't quite behave.
Yeah. Slight chuckle. The community reactions are always quick when models stumble. I saw that post about ChatGPT Atlas being dragged into the bin after everyone initially called it top one.
Oh yeah, that went viral.
You know, that kind of hit home for me. I mean, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself sometimes. You figure something out one day, the perfect prompt, and the next day, poof. It just doesn't work the same. It's frustrating.
It really is. It's just the nature of working on the bleeding edge, I guess. Unstable. Meanwhile, governments are trying to react to all this. The EU just launched a 5 billion euro fund.
Right, for AI, quantum computing, semiconductors, trying to catch up.
Explicitly, yeah. Trying to match the scale of investment coming out of the US and Asia.
Okay, so thinking about those fake receipts again.
Yeah.
Given that risk, how much should we actually rely on digital confirmation for, say, financial stuff going forward?
I think we have to assume verification is needed outside the document itself. You can't just trust the digital file anymore.
Right. Digital trust is eroding. Always cross-verify the source. Okay, let's move to our final segment, the cost frontier. This is where models from China are really shaking things up.
Yeah, this is a potentially huge market shift coming from the East. We need to talk about a model called MiniMax M2.
Okay, MiniMax M2, what's the goal there?
The goal is basically GPT-4 level performance, but without the crazy high price tag you get with the big US models.
And the cost difference is big.
Staggering. M2 apparently runs at just 8% of the cost of running something comparable like Claude Sonnet.
8%? Wow. That changes everything, doesn't it? How do they do that?
Well, the key is the tech underneath. M2 is what's called a sparse mixture of experts model, and MOE.
Okay, jargon alert. Mixture of experts. Can you break that down simply?
Sure, think of it like this. Instead of using its entire massive brain for every single question, an MOE model only activates a small, specialized part like an expert team that's best suited for that specific task.
Ah, okay, so it's not firing up the whole engine every time.
Exactly. Maybe it only uses, say, 10 billion parameters out of a much larger total for one query. That makes it way lighter, much faster, and radically more efficient than running a huge, dense model constantly.
And the practical result of that efficiency.
It's fast, uses less memory, and crucially, you don't need those giant, super expensive GPU clusters to run it well. That just lowers the barrier to entry massively for innovators everywhere.
Okay, and how does it actually perform? You said GPT-4 level.
The benchmarks look really strong. It's reportedly outperforming older Claude 4 models in some areas, and it's nearly matching the newer Claude 4.5.
So the big picture here is Chinese labs, MiniMax, DeepSeek, Moonshot, they're putting out high-quality open models that compete performance-wise with the West.
But crush them on operational costs.
Yes, these are good for what kinds of applications?
They're ideal if you're building, say, agent workflows or custom code copilots, retrieval bots, specialized tool chains, anything where cost efficiency matters, especially if you want to self-host outside the big cloud platforms.
Right. So, probing question then. If the running cost drops by, like, 90%, what does that cost advantage really mean for companies trying to build new agents, maybe outside the orbit of AWS or Google Cloud?
Well, fundamentally, it democratizes access, right? It shifts innovation power.
Yeah.
Away from just the giant labs, potentially towards smaller, more agile builders anywhere in the world.
So cheaper models mean faster innovation and wider access for startups.
Exactly. Mid-roll sponsor, read placeholder.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, the main threads seem to be this incredible race for physical infrastructure, this hyper-financed build-out. OpenAI's 1 gigawatt goal really symbolizes that.
And that massive spending really sets the stage for the competitive shift we're seeing. These cost-effective open models, particularly from the East, like MiniMax M2, they're completely changing the definition of high performance for developers because now it's actually affordable.
It feels like AI is becoming more distributed, moving beyond just a few huge labs.
I think that's right. And connecting back to the physical build-out, the infrastructure, we talked about the scale, the 1GW factory, the Amazon layoffs linked to AI spending. There's one more piece here related to secrecy. Yeah, there are reports suggesting that non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, are being used quite aggressively, specifically to keep details about these new AI data centers, the tech, the operations hidden from the public, particularly in the U.S.
So given the sheer scale and speed of all this building the equivalent of a massive data center complex every single week, what exactly are we not being told about the physical foundation supporting arguably the most powerful technology we've ever built?
That's the question to maybe keep mulling over. What's behind the curtain of all this infrastructure?
Indeed. Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Outro music.